Okay, so here we are at phase 4. I can share my gifts, and congratulations on getting through the first 3 phases and making all of this progress in your introduction to recovery. So who are you now? What are you good at? What do you want from yourself and others? What do you have to offer yourself and the world? And so in this stage, we're focusing on the gifts you have inside you and how you want to give these gifts to others in your day-to-day life. In the 90s, I moved from Sydney to London because back then I couldn't study talk therapy in Australia. I took a 4-year diploma in counselling, went into psychoanalysis and practiced in a range of government and community services. I really wanted to be a counsellor because I so deeply valued what the therapists in my life had given me. I was largely applying the theory I was learning to myself. I was actually afraid that I was too broken to be any good at this sort of work. I worried I would damage people, that my own unhealed wounds meant that I would not practice gently or lovingly. Now, one of my first clients was a middle-aged woman having conflicts in her workplace that she couldn't resolve. In the first session, I could just feel a really high level of intensity inside her that she wasn't speaking about. I took this intuition to my clinical supervisor and I explained that I thought this woman was too complex for me, but he didn't agree. He didn't see anything in the interaction that indicated there was a problem, and instead he wanted me to keep working with her, and he was keen to help me understand what was being triggered in me, what I was afraid of. Then in session 3, this client threw a glass at my head. Now I was ready for it and it smashed against the wall. But afterwards in supervision, my supervisor, who was a wonderful man, apologised for not listening to me. He said, "You fear that the story of your mother has left you with this wound that makes you broken. But what if the story of your mother has actually left you with a gift? What if you can sense emotional intensity more easily than most others can? What if your gift is that you can sit with people who are experiencing high levels of intensity and not be overwhelmed by it? Perhaps you instinctively know how to do that because of your past experiences, not despite them." Well, I realized that this was a gift that I wanted to give. So finding the right gift inside you is an important part of becoming who you are meant to be. So what if your trauma gives you a gift? What if the journey you're on gives you a gift? How do you get to understand the gift you have to give? Well, I think the way that you do that is you try to work out what you love and you try to work out what you truly value. Well, let me tell you the story of a client I recently worked with. I supported a wonderful young woman who I will call Liz, who was triggered by the recent COVID-19 lockdowns. Before lockdown, Liz believed her childhood and her parenting had been perfectly normal. There were bad moments, but she decided these bad events were normal for every family. Suddenly, she was having panic attacks, fear problems, and was startled by yelling, loud laughter, or loud noise. Then she started to have flashbacks of her father beating her older brother with closed fists. This was when she reached out to me for help. Her father had been what I call a rage monster, and he'd created paralyzing fear in all of his children. But Liz was so brave. She told her story and began to make sense of it. This involved lots of tears and sadness and some guilt. But it also meant that she rekindled a loving relationship with her brother, and now they talk for hours every week. She worked on getting access to herself and learning to self-coach with love. The gift of this journey for Liz was that she soon realised how the creative side of her had been frozen by her father's rage, by her upbringing. Instead, she'd chosen to study a Bachelor of Business Administration because that's what her family wanted, and now she worked in finance. Now, in her work together, she began to draw and paint her inner parts as she discovered them. These drawings were so beautiful. I really loved seeing them, and I could see she had such a talent. Her fear soon subsided and her panic attacks resolved themselves within a few months. Her work on herself is ongoing, of course, but she's just been accepted into a second degree in visual arts, and she's very excited about that. She's on her way to becoming who she was really meant to be. Okay. So the exercise for phase 4 is an introduction to exploring what you value in your life. You can access the download here on my website, and the tool will help you walk through a set of steps to help you determine your values.